Alright, so in this live stream, we're moving into Taurus's house to look at Taurus's connections. So we'll be going from the first house, Aries, Taurus with other Tauruses, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. Okay, so we'll be looking at those connections in this live stream. Okay. All right. I'm gonna try to talk. I'm gonna try to speak loud so that you can hear me over my fans. It's really hot in here. um. All right. Okay, so alright, so this is a general reading. It's not intended to resonate with everyone. If there's any doubt, please don't force it. I'll be back to do another as soon as possible. And in this reading, the energies are not intended to go either way. We are looking at your person of interest energy and how they show up to fight for your connection. And I do the short-term energy readings as energy changes all the time. So, yeah, like it just shows the trajectory of things as it stands now in this general reading. Okay, so I want to give it some hard shuffles to get into it here. So that's one. Sometimes I do this and a spread will develop. But let's see. There's two. See if I can get 7 before it breaking it apart. See, it almost wanted to break apart already. Because this hard shuffle is not necessary, but because of the way that I'm shuffling throughout the reading. So I almost wanted to do a spread right there. Okay, and so there we have it. Okay, Taurus, so let's take a look at your Taurus and Aries connection. Taurus and Aries. 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 All right. Okay. So in this particular connection, I'm looking at, comes into this reading, the two of you talking, clearing the air, getting to know each other is what it looks like. And it looks like you find yourself in a connection that feels like a soulmate. It feels compatible. Feels like there's love here, you know, harmony, balance. So it looks like you have found your one, your person. The one is, it looks like you found your person worth investing time into and seeing potential to see where things might go. That's what I'm looking at. So how is your person showing up to fight for your love, Taurus? by being present and attentive is what it looks like here. All right, so now we're going to look at Taurus with other Tauruses. Okay, so Taurus, you watching the video, this is your reading, and we're looking at your person of interest energy to see how they show up to fight for your love. All right, so Taurus with Tauruses. Taurus with Taurus. Taurus with Taurus. Taurus with Taurus. All right. Hey, so that's just what I was picking up before I seen the card. We come into this reading and it looks like you guys have already established your connection and that you rarely have to prove each other's love in a dynamic way. And then it looks like it's been that way for a while. And then it shows up on the table with confirmation of the lovers. As I do progress into the reading, I am picking up a challenge here though. So it does look like there's some obstructive interference in the connection. So Taurus, it looks like your person is dealing with some internal conflict. Not really sure in this general reading where there's a multitude of variables that could be contributing to the obstructive interference your person is dealing with. But it looks like there's some grief in that they're not as available in the connection as they normally are. Sleepless nights, you know, maybe a sense of, I hate to say stinginess because I usually describe the Four of Pentacles being a diligent steward of one's resources. In a connection, though, it might come off as some stinginess or holding back, you know. And then there's some transformative energy that continues to persist in this connection. So how does your person show up to fight for this connection? Off the top, it looks like they're more so dealing with an internal conflict. I will need to do some more digging into this reading. So let's confirm the lovers. Okay, so the Jack of Swords, Nine of Pentacles, Four of Fire. So that confirms what I had seen in the Lovers card. Understanding, mutual love, balanced harmony, peacefulness, beauty in this connection. So the Lovers card has been confirmed. Let's look at this two-card combination having the Nine of Swords and the Four of Pentacles. Three of Swords confirms that there's conflict. The Three of Swords symbolizes some sense of betrayal and some heartbreak. And then also confirming with the Four of Pentacles, which is the card on the table that I'm clarifying. Oh, okay. And we're looking at the couple here. So it looks like there's some, because we're looking at a king and a queen here. King of Cups, Queen of Cups. So yes, there's some sort of internal conflict that this connection is dealing with. That's been confirmed. All right. Okay, I'm going to continue to the next position that has the 13th major arcana, which is the Death card. Okay, so the King of Swords, Eight of Pentacles, Four of Fire, King of Cups, Ten of Swords, Ace of Swords, Ace of Pentacles. Okay, so it seems to be, based on the clarifiers that I got here, is to say that this Death card is being clarified to, first of all, substantiate that there is a conflict here. It looks like an internal conflict. It looks like something that has come up before in the connection. So it looks like something that has been repeated before, that shows up before. So there should be some familiarity in this particular conflict for those that this reading resonates with. So that would be one of the highlighted details that would let you know if this is your reading or not. Going with the disclaimer that this is a general reading. It's not intended to resonate with everyone. If it doesn't fit, don't force it. I'll be back to do another. Because if this one is your reading that you would resonate with, then the details in this storyline is this is a relationship that has longevity, and it appears that there's rarely difficulties or obstructive energy in your connection, that this is a connection that's pretty sure you guys know each other pretty well. You've been locked in for a moment, and you rarely have arguments or hiccups in the connection. And then in this particular connection, there is a hiccup. There's a conflict. However, the conflict that shows up, it does look like it's a routine conflict, something that happens routinely. It's not the first time anyways. Like maybe if it's not routinely, which would describe something that has happened on a more consistent basis throughout a duration of length of time, maybe it's not a routine, but it has happened before, and there's familiarity in this conflict. So it's like something that your person has probably brought to your attention, something that you have dealt with in your relationship before. So it looks like your person is stressed out about it, and the way that they're looking to fight for your love, Aries, it does look like they would need you to show up and fight for the love in this connection. They look like they need some support and some understanding, some affirmations. The way that they're fighting for your love, it looks like just by remaining in the connection, remaining present in the connection, because I don't see that their energy is leaving the connection, but they're going through something that is causing them some turmoil, and likely it has the properties to refine and evolve them to become a better, stronger person in your connection. And especially the two of you, if you're able to successfully deal with it together, show up with affirmations and comfort, confirmations, love, nurture, etc., support, that is something that could strengthen your relationship altogether. Hopefully, if possible, something that doesn't continue to be revisited, because it looks like it's happened before. But that's what I'm picking up here in this connection. I'll be back to look at it again, God willing. Taurus, we're going to now look at your connection with Gemini. Hey everybody, thank you so much for your support on the video, on the channel. Thank you for being here. Okay, so we're looking for Taurus and Gemini. Taurus and Gemini. Taurus and Gemini. Taurus and Gemini. All right. Taurus and Gemini. Okay, so in this reading here with Taurus and Gemini, it looks to me, and I'll have to clarify that, it looks like there has something has been revealed, exposed, something that was hidden. It looks like this is a major arcana, so it looks like the expose, the revelation has happened beyond their control, because it's a major arcana. So those are energies working outside of our control, like universal God, divine type energy. So the moon coming in reverse for me, and that's what I would want to clarify. And then we have the hangman energy. So for me, it also talks about divine timing in progress. The hangman is transformative energy for me, a euphoric time, a dreamy type state where epiphanies are had, you know, under enlightenment is happening, secrets, hidden agendas are exposed in a deep type of a way. Yeah, yeah. And so this is energy that describes organically unfolding, and the person is caught up. I like to call it like being caught up in the spirit. The person is caught up in this dynamic, transformative energy, and when they will come out, when they will emerge, is within divine timing, evolved with higher understanding. Yeah, it's a time for innovations, being able to think outside the box, you know. As we progress further, though, it looks like after this time of processing, as have been described, comes to a completion, there is the Five of Fire here. So there's a blockage and there's a conflict. So it looks like an epiphany had been had. This person just went through some sort of a evolution. Either well, because this is Gemini's energy, and it just makes me wonder: is this some sort of mutual energy in the connection, or is this something that Gemini is going through independently? They come out of it with a sense of blockage and conflict. There could be a heightened amount of arguments, intensity, misunderstandings, or maybe there is a misunderstanding, but there's just a different approach philosophically. So I definitely actually need to get some clarifiers here. So let's start with this moon in reverse. There's the Six of Fire. And the Four of Cups. So to me, the Six of Fire and the Four of Cups symbolizes somebody that has one foot in and one foot out of the connection. And the Four of Cups is symbolizing some apathy, some emotional disconnect that's taken place. Let's see. And then the Six of Swords. So an indication of toxicity, but moving out of the toxic energy. The Five of Pentacles describes bachelor energy for me. Somebody who feels like they're standing out in the cold, weathering a storm alone. Okay, so that's what I'm picking up there. So for me, this seems to describe a connection where Gemini feels like they're in a relationship, but they're in it alone, dealing with some struggles and hardships alone. They come into the reading with one foot in, one foot out anyway, so it looks like there was never completely established commitment in the connection. So one of the hidden aspects that could have been revealed is the fact that there's one foot in, one foot out, that the commitment wasn't completely on solid ground. And also there's some toxicity that, you know, was being represented there. So it feels like there's a revelation in the connection with Gemini. There could be some cusp energy, Gemini, Taurus cusp energy, and or Gemini Cancer energy. However, this is Gemini. Could find themselves in a relationship that they feel like they're alone in it. They don't feel certain that this is the relationship that is the one that will be conducive for long-term commitment, like a marriage. It looks like they are caught up in this question, in this state of doubt for a while. So it looks like they are evaluating and double checking. It looks like they do this more so silently, just objectively watching their connection to confirm within themselves? Is this one that either they themselves can show up and support the longevity that would be needed for a healthy, sustainable relationship, and or does their person add these components and qualities to the connection? Do they complement one another? You know, all of those questions and concerns. And then it looks like as we progress further, they confirm within themselves that they are actually on a different page, on a different wavelength than their person. And again, this could be a twin flame connection where they both mutually come to this understanding, but for sure this is in this reading that's not intended to resonate with everyone because it's a general reading, would be Gemini's energy in this. So next I want to confirm and clarify the Five of Swords. Okay, so the the Five of Fire is being clarified with the Six of Swords, moving from the toxic energy into a better energy. Seven of Pentacles, reevaluating the situation, wondering if it is one where they need to cut their losses or if there's a way they can nurture and invest to bring about more viability. And coming to the Five of Fire, which is the card that I'm clarifying right now, which leads to suggest no. The answer that they find is no, that there's dissonance in the connection. Okay, so how will they show up to fight for your love, Taurus, is the question that we're looking for. Will they show up to fight for your love? How will they show up to fight for your love? Okay, so the first thing that seems to be pronounced in this reading is there's a lot of spirituality. So it looks like one where faith, where one's belief systems definitely is a foundational necessity in this connection. This, so like in the previous spread when I was looking at the Five of Fire, and I mentioned in the dissonance there that it could be political, philosophical differences. You know, in a relationship, having a mutual mindset in regard to spirituality. You know, how does one fight in the spirit for their connection? Do they pray for each other, or are they atheists? Are they agnostic? Do they believe in a higher power? Do they believe in the power of prayer? Do they believe in a divine? You know, those type of hardwired foundational values, which reminds me of the second house representing a value system anyway. Those values are actually very fundamental to a healthy relationship. It looks like that in this reading, as I've developed this spread to see additional insight, what could be the conflict and how Gemini will show up. For example, the third house, pointing to the third house being one that governs intellect, information, communication, understanding, technology, innovations, you know, advancements, evolutionary energy in the informational context, intelligent, intellectual context. Okay, guys. Oh, how will it show up to fight for the love in this connection? It seems to go to the source of the individual returning to themselves, realizing or asking themselves if they are fully healed and complete to show up. Are they balanced within themselves? Do they have within themselves what it would take to come into a connection, to add to that connection, for it to be strong, for it to have the components and qualities for longevity, for the marriage? You know, this one for the books, for a lifetime. Can it sustain weathering storms? That type of introspection, taking time to heal oneself, or be honest with oneself and disengage, coming to the reality that they might not have that. You know, it looks like this is the method that Gemini is showing up to fight for the love in this connection, is to first fight for their own self-love. And again, this right here, yeah, it involves a lot of spirituality. So it does look like only time can tell how this would play out at the end of the day. I'm still looking at it to see if I could see anything else. Yeah, looks like only time can tell, because I'm looking at the challenge here where the Hangman is, the 12th major arcana, being met with the 7 of cups, and that's the challenge. Is, you know, how I said the Hangman is that energy that brings about the epiphanies and the higher learning, the understanding, you know, through the process, through that caught up, I call it caught up in the spirit, but the current being caught up in this dynamic energy. And if they force themselves out of the process, it's like trying to force open a cocoon before the butterfly emerges naturally and organically from it. It would, you know, it could stunt something in the process, and then it's one of those situations where the current would go through it again at a different time perhaps. But the challenge is to go through that process and have these answers, have this clarity emerge within its divine timing, within synchronicity, when it's time to happen. So again, that's where the part where it's like confirmed that only time can tell what and where this will go. How do they show up to fight for this connection is to have the clarity within themselves first and foremost, to have a meeting of the minds and to be on the same page, especially as it comes to defining mutual value systems. If you're on the same page, you know, philosophically, spiritually, you know, moral code, moral ethics, if it's on the same page as they're resonating. So the moon in reverse seems to be exposing and those type of realities. That's what I have for Taurus in the 3rd house. So now looking at Taurus connections in the 4th house, which is Cancer's house. Okay. So again with the shuffle, I'm going to give it a hard shuffle here. So then looking for Cancer and Taurus connection. So the Cancer and the Taurus connection. Cancer, Taurus, the Cancerian and the Taurian. Taurus and Cancer. Cancers and Taurus. Alright, Cancer, Taurus, Cancer, Taurus, Cancer, Taurus. Alright. So, alright. So, in this reading here, we have the Cancer and the Taurus connection coming in with a established connection, okay? But they're in the process of ascending to a higher level of commitment, and they also have synchronicity on their side. So this is a connection that is moving smoothly through this trajectory, through this energetic trajectory towards the strength. So, you know, as we had been seeing some fluctuations in our previous houses, even starting from the first house reading, we're now in the second house reading because this is Taurus and we did Aries already today. Seeing that there were some cold feet throughout most of the houses. Cold feet, second guessing, wanting to double check, wanting to make sure that within oneself they have what it takes to bring to the table in a relationship. In this reading, we have that established. So even if there is or was some fluctuation, moments of doubt, this connection seems to already be able to confirm within itself that yes, they have their established value systems. They have a meeting of the mind about what's important, about what they believe in, how they meet one another to support one another in a spiritual conflict, spiritual battle, going into spiritual warfare together. That seems to have been established too, whether or not they're atheists or if they're believers or if they're agnostic. However they move, it looks like they move in sequence, they move in unity, and they are progressing towards strength. So this, you know, this is a harmonious connection. How do they show up? How does Cancer show up to fight for Taurus's love? By being present, by being responsive, by being attentive, by being secure. So it looks like this looks like also a twin flame connection that is clearly mirroring one another in sync. So I would also say Cancer is able to fight for Taurus's love as Taurus simultaneously is fighting for Cancer's love, and they have confirmation and affirmations not only in word but in deed, and their actions prove it. That's beautiful. That's what I have for Taurus and Cancer connections. And now we'll move to look at Taurus with Leos. Taurus with Leo. Alright, giving this a hard shuffle again. Okay. Alright, so now we have that hard shuffle. Taurus and Leo. Taurus and Leo. Taurus and Leo. Taurus, Leo. Taurus, Leo. Taurus, Leo. Okay. The Lovers. I feel like that confirms what I was picking up, having to shuffle for so long, you know, before a card presents itself in the spread, and that card is the Lovers card. To me, it indicates that they rarely have a hiccup. They rarely have a problem in their connection. It's been a long time. Okay, it comes into the reading. All right, but we are looking at some conflict. It is in the Major Arcana, the Tower, aka 16th Major Arcana, the Tower. All right, so this looks like a big, okay, and I have the Five of Swords and the Hierophant on the top and bottom of the deck, the Hierophant and the Five of Swords. So it looks like there's a big obstructive interference with this Tower, that there could have been a breakup. And with this Four of Fire coming out in a neutral orientation lets me know the outcome is on a cliffhanger still. How will they come out of this breakup? What is this? Looks pretty big. Now there's been a running theme throughout the houses so far that has been dealing with cold feet and needing to reassure oneself that they have what it takes to sustain this connection for the long haul. Is this a connection that's worthy of marriage, ascending to a higher level of commitment for a lifetime? That's been the running theme. But let's go ahead and start clarifying this one to see. Starting with the Lover's card. Okay, the Queen of Swords. The Three of Swords. Five of Pentacles. Nine of Fire. Okay, so the Queen of Swords shows up. So symbolically, the archetype of the Queen of Swords has reference to the 7th house. The 7th house actually deals with marriage and relationships and love. So the intrinsic values of those concepts are laden in the 7th house. The Queen of Swords is also symbolically a mentality, a strong, decisive mentality. So the Queen of Swords could be cold in their communication, very sharp, you know, just really hard, cold truths. And the distinguished difference between the Queen and the King is the King is even more straightforward, where the Queen may, you know, be flexible and may consider different alternative solutions or answers. The King is very decisive, where there's no question. It's pretty much law and order, especially, I mean, not especially, but definitely the King in the upright position. So anyhow, the Queen of Swords showing up here to clarify this Lovers. Just in general, I would say that yes, there has been something that has come up to reveal that there may be a difference in value systems. Philosophically, something different in the mentality that's been heartbreaking. So it looks like there's it also looks like it was a hard core, like a hard wire mentality or perspective that causes a great deal of oh, that's the word. I was like, what word am I looking for? A deal breaker. So that's what shook this connection up. And whether or not they'll be able to come back together, we're left in this short-term reading on a cliffhanger. But now I'm going to take the time to clarify the 16th Major Arcana. Alright, So the Six of Cups and the Seven of Swords show up. So the Six of Cups for me, off the top, it describes something that's familiar, so like a karmic pattern. So yeah, it could have been, it looks like it was likely a concept or a philosophical perspective that was ingrained and hardwired and was pretty much sure for the current initially, but there was this eureka moment or epiphany that brings it into question now, that there's something distrustful, misgiving in that pattern, and the pattern is being disrupted. Yeah, with the Nine of Fire, that pattern is being disrupted and going through some trial. So yeah, this so far, especially describing the Queen of Sword energy that initially brought about this eureka moment of clarity that's disrupting the connection. Looking over here at the energy on the top and the bottom of the deck, being the Hierophant. Hierophant is Taurus's archetype. A Hierophant generally symbolizes marriage and commitments, philosophical, like religious understandings that are, like contractual understandings, not just religiously, but also contractual agreements between one another. And then the Five of Swords, that's the win at all cost mentality, but also just symbolizes somebody being very assertive and sure, like putting their foot down about what they say, about what they mean, about what they think about a certain thing, being very dominant and overwhelmingly, even aggressively, laying that logic down to the point where it's toxic and it creates conflict, and a win at all cost mentality, or the red flag to neutralize and to bring balance to the Five of Swords would be choose your battles versus having a win at all cost mentality. But anyhow, let's move to clarify the Four of Fire being in this neutral orientation. Seven of Pentacles, so that's the evaluating and taking the time to consider if the subject is worth continuing to invest, or to cut losses, to potentially modify the method of nurturing to bring about increased harvest and productivity. The Jack of Swords. So yeah, analyzing and observing and studying to come to the determination. And the Seven of Pentacles, considering everything and to decide whether or not to stay, to continue to nurture it, or to cut losses and salvage oneself to move on. So left on that type of cliffhanger here. Okay. The next house we'll look at is Taurus and Virgo connections. Taurus and Virgo. Taurus and Virgo. Taurus and Virgo. So I didn't feel led to do the hard shuffle on this one. Taurus and Virgo. 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 Alright. So here too, it looks like there was this dynamic shakeup in regard to a wish fulfillment. So true to the concurrent storylines that I've been seeing throughout the houses today, you know, there a moment of pause. The current is coming into this reading, reevaluating their wish fulfillment, reevaluating their goals, and not just because they themselves have this moment of weakness or doubt, but it looks like calmative energy. The major arcana, you know, those are universal calmative energy that comes to assert itself and to influence the current in this type of way, to reevaluate their wish, their goals, their value system, the sense of self that they have. It looks like after going through that spin cycle, they find themselves standing in their own energy, in their own element. So it looks like they go through the test of time. You know, they go through the spin cycle, and it looks like they come out themselves. Like, it doesn't really look like much is lost. Whatever was lost in that spin cycle was meant to be dissolved. They come out themselves, the Queen of Pentacles. So the Virgo, which is the Queen of Pentacles, goes through the spin cycle, their wish fulfillment tested, goes through the test, you know, a universal test to see if what they're standing on is true and secure and organic and authentic to themselves, and they find themselves dynamically in their own energy at the end of the day. No cliffhanger, no ifs and or buts about it. So how does Virgo show up to fight for Taurus's love? It looks like by being put through the tests of time and showing up standing firm and solid in what they said and what they believe in from the beginning to the end, being okay with going through the storm, standing true to themselves and coming out true to themselves. So that's what it looks like to me. They show up to fight for Taurus's love, but even being put through the ringer, even when the test of life come raining and trying to knock them down, they come up rising as a phoenix out of the ashes. Wow. All right. Now we'll look at Taurus with Libra energy. This Libra also can have some cusp energy, so they could be on the cusp of Libra Virgo and or Libra Scorpio. Let's take a look at Libra connection with Taurus. Okay. So again, don't feel led to go into the hard shuffle with this one. Libra. Libra and Taurus. Libra. Libra and Taurus. Libra. Libra and Taurus. Libra. Libra and Taurus. So this reading right here is describing a similar storyline throughout. And we come with Libra taking the stage, pouring out their Ace of Cups, pouring out whatever preconceived notions, whatever they were feeling in the past, and, you know, coming to terms with what they want. So reevaluating themselves spiritually, emotionally, cleansing this themselves in that capacity to be left with their own energy so that they can define and ensure that what they want is what they want, that they're true to themselves first and foremost. And it looks like as we progress, we're left on a cliffhanger, even more confirmed with the energy on the top and bottom of the deck here being the Nine of Swords and the Ace of Swords. So being left off on this cliffhanger where the final result is still pending, it's still in process. But so how is Libra showing up to fight for Taurus's love? Is again showing up to fight for their love, to make sure that there's no delusion or illusion in what they stand for, but that they are within their own sense of value, their own sense of worth, not being influenced or dictated by external factors or a bandwagon or a sheeple mentality, but just being true to themselves. And it looks like just taking time to confirm that, as have been described, is what I'm seeing. So again, this common theme today is how your person is showing up to fight for your love is by showing up to fight for their love first and foremost, to fight for themselves, to fight for their sense of value, so that they can be sure when they come into your connection that they can bring to the table what's necessary for success. Now, I just want to go ahead and clarify this Ace of Cups and see if there's any additional information to redirect, reiterate, and or expound upon the Ace of Cups in reverse. Okay, the Nine of Swords is this card here on the top of the deck over here. Three of Swords. Ten of Fire. So yeah, it looks like there was some dissonance, intense, mental anguish that catalyzed them to reevaluate, to just pour that whole cup. It just wasn't resonating. When the cup, this Ace of Cups, turned out to not resonate. That Ace of Cups turned out riddled with broken heart, betrayal, backstabbing, anxiety, pain, just a lot of dissonance and a lot of conflict. And it does look like, I was going to say an internal conflict, not necessarily anything that the Taurus needs to or should take personal, but internal conflict is what it does look like. And in fact, it could be mutual twin flame energy being picked up here in this reading. So let me clarify the Nine of Cups here. Okay, Seven of Cups. The Seven of Cups is the disarray of emotions, emotional confusion, overwhelmed, having a difficult time to focus and see clearly because of the emotional turmoil. King of Pentacles. All right, that does point to Taurus. And Queen of Fire. And Two of Fire. Queen of Swords. Ace of Swords. All right, so here, initially I wasn't necessarily picking up anything that Taurus could take personally. As I progress further into the connection and clarify this Nine of Cup energy, it is pointing to Taurus, saying that there could potentially be third-party situations, other love interests, at the very least, other dynamic, influential personalities or energies coming, yes, to cause obstructive interference, to cause Libra to reconsider. So it does look like there could be at least the um, uncertainty of third-party situations. Now, even though Taurus's energy showed up in the King of Pentacles, again with this potentially having mutual twin flame energy, even Libra themselves could have third-party situations or their mind thinking and wondering about other potentials and just wondering. Again, it clarifies to give additional information and insight to what the dissonance is. Why is Libra feeling like they need to isolate their own energy, distill their own energy to make sure that their value systems, their desires and hopes and dreams, what they are made of, is true indeed, through and through, to withstand fluctuations, storms, chaos, any obstacles or challenges that may come towards them in their connection. So yeah, with the Three of Swords and the Nine of Swords and the Ten of Fire coming to a breaking point. Okay, that was established here. They would need to distill their energy of all of that obstructive, intense, distracting energy. Let's take a look at the Three of Fire. Okay, Four of Pentacles. Okay, so I see here the added information here is, although they're standing on the edge of the dock of the bay waiting for their ships to come in, this is a very magnetizing energy. Like, what is coming towards Libra? Libra is, with that Four of Pentacles being described, not trying to force anything, but to see what's organically, naturally coming towards them. Not trying to force anything. So, again, staying true to themselves and just really trying to distill the energy to purify their energy, not forcing anything, but seeing what's naturally coming towards them is what it looks like. King of Swords, Queen of Pentacles, Queen of Fire, Ace of Cups. And so again, see, with that being the twin flame mutual energy that I was suspecting this reading has, it was pointing to Taurus as potentially having other mates, other love interests, other options, whatever the obstructive interference was with those court cards coming up. Too, when I'm isolating and looking at Libra's energy, still seeing those same options, those same court cards making appearance. So yeah, mutual twin flame energy here. And the Ace of Cups. And even the Three of Swords again. You know, that mutual feeling of backstabbing and betrayal is being seen on both sides. Alright. There goes the King of Pentacles. Okay. Just also the reminder of the disclaimer that this is a general reading. It's not intended to resonate with everyone. Please leave behind what does not resonate. I'll be back to do another one as soon as possible. That's what I have for Taurus and their Libra connections. So now I'll be looking at Taurus and Scorpio. Taurus and Scorpio. Taurus and Scorpio. Taurus and Scorpio. Okay, so in this connection, it's coming in with an established marriage, an established relationship, so boundaries are clearly highlighted and understood in this connection. That's how it comes with this marriage card making an appearance. And so far, the Hierophant has come into these readings to also signify, you know, just the value systems, which is represented in the second house. So there's been a lot of house references, not just the romantic couples in their respective zodiac sun sign, but the house, the astrological house. So like the second house, you know, being Taurus's house that governs value systems, as had been mentioned before. And the eighth house is a spiritual house that embodies a lot of things, um, especially transformations, metamorphosis, rebirth after a death, open doors after closing the doors, a new beginning after an ending type of energy, um, and a lot of spirituality here. So the Hierophant having an association with spirituality, especially in religion, dealing with the belief systems, comes into this picture. So this looks like a connection that comes into the reading with an established belief system, established faith, established system of expectations, rules, regulations. All of this is fluidly established and working. So far it says that it is working, as because we have the current with the Queen of Fire moving fluidly. This also looks like a twin flame soulmate connection with the mirroring of fluid flowing energy between them, understanding between them. Then we meet a challenge here with obstructive interference energy in the Three of Pentacles. So this suggests after a time of longevity and being able to survive on the foundation that they built, a sure foundation that they have built. Here's a test of time in the Three of Pentacles. So, will the Three of Pentacles, will the obstructive interference survive and be sustained through the storm? We're left on a cliffhanger, as the energies on the top and bottom of the deck is the Two of Pentacles and, well, actually that's the Three of Swords. Okay, no, I stand corrected. It does look like the obstructive interference is an obstacle and brings the connection to a disappointing breaking point. There's disappointment in the Three of Swords, feeling of betrayed, feeling of backstabbing, some regrets. So the Two of Pentacles is wavering, juggling, wishy-washy mentality, uncertainty, and potential also third-party type situations, juggling an additional lover. But there's some juggling and some wavering and uncertainty being represented in the Two of Pentacles. And then like the Three of Swords is that heartbreak, so the energies on the top and bottom of the reading deck show in that yes, there's some dissonance here in the Three of Pentacles. So to clarify, to try to get additional information, I'm going to continue working on here, starting with the Hierophant. Okay, Nine of Swords. So it looks like, and the Queen of Pentacles and the Four of Fire. Okay, so even initially, although they're coming into the picture fluid, working harmoniously as previously described, the clarifier does suggest that there was some shaking up in the beginning as well. The foundation was so sure, and it was a tried and true foundation that had withstood previous storms and challenges. But this time around, there's starting to be a shaking up of that foundation. But it's holding tight. So there's a shaking up of the foundation, but it's holding tight is what's being stated there. Okay. Five of Swords, Ace of Pentacles, Eight of Cups, and so there's the emotional disconnect. I'm going to, and then the Nine of Swords show up again. Alright, so we're going to move forward to look at and to clarify the Queen of Fire. Why is the Queen of Fire there? Okay, the Nine of Cups, the King of Swords, Five of Swords, Seven of Pentacles. Okay, so I feel like that's a clarifier that that repeats what I was describing off the top without clarifiers when I was saying it looks like this connection comes with pre-established arrangement, agreement, boundaries, expectations, a marriage, contractual agreements, etc. and that foundation it is true. It's withstood the test of time. It has withstood the storms of life. Now, we did reveal that there was a shaking up, that there was a disturbance detected, but the foundation still stood foundational. And then when I was moving to the Queen of Fire, I detected initially before clarifying, and I feel like the clarifiers substantiate my um, interpretation, that the foundation of this connection is so sure that our person of interest is able to move according to this understanding that they have in their connection, move freely in security without a problem. The clarifiers for me, it supports that sentiment by even adding additional information that there appears to be some boasting. It appeared to be some overconfidence in the Five of Swords. Remember when it's, the win at all cost mentality versus a choose your battle mentality. This person is very confident. This person is even boasting, you know. So that confirmed to me that they're sure that this foundation was definitely true and tried, and it has survived many ups and downs. But now, as I continue to say, there was a disturbance. You know, the type of disturbance, for an example, um, of a building that, an architect has engineered a building and put it in, let's say like one of our territories that has frequent natural, occurrences where there's the foundation is shaken and the building is designed to sustain all types of storms, all types of disturbances, and still come out of those storms standing strong. But eventually, you know how those buildings, especially if it's just old and it's time for routine maintenance, there's fractures in the foundation, there's little cracks that start popping up eventually. But you could say, well, there's these little hairline fractures and there's these little cracks over here and that's that. But this building is 1,000 years old. So what do you expect? This building has been through uh, millennia of storms. Like this building, whoever built this one, man, it's in the books. But that's what seems to have been exhibited. So we are starting to come into some dissonance and some obstructive interference. This is confirmed. So now I'm going to look here in this Three of Pentacles energy. Okay. Looking at it. Queen of Swords. There's confidence. There's a know-how to fix it, to work on it. Alright. That's what I'm looking at, is that there's the two, and the confidence and the fixedness. You see the Five of Swords again, the Four of Swords. Okay. Now the Four of Swords indicate, some prayer, some intercession. Two of Swords, okay, some doubt starts to infuse. Four of Swords, but even though the doubt shows up, it looks like it's still standing the test of time. Six of Cups, very familiar. So strategy and approach, tried and true approach to fix things. Six of Swords, moving out of a toxic situation into a better situation. Nine of Pentacles, success. Queen of Fire over here. Her boasting is true. There was some doubt. There was some trial. There was some errors. Let's see, Jack of Cups, Ten of Swords. There was a headache. There was, some heartache. Queen of Pentacles. Four of Pentacles. There was a time to go ahead and withdraw and isolate their energy and check it, internally within themselves, that have been described throughout the many houses. But that familiar pattern seems to continue to withstand and hold up. Alright. So it just looks like some general maintenance, some general routine maintenance is long overdue. But it looks like this couple was able to use their tried and true methods. It was long overdue. Routine maintenance was overdue. They let it go a little bit too long, but they were able to stick to their tried and true methods and come out with success. Oh, that's a good reading there. Next, we'll look at Taurus with Sagittarius connection. All right, nice. Let's take a look at it. Taurus and Sagittarius. All right. So we're looking at this connection coming in at a pause because there is uncertainty. There's some uh, there's some fog, and so it looks like how does Sagittarius show up for Virgo to fight for not Virgo to fight for Taurus's love by being vulnerable, by being honest and transparent, and by pausing for confirmations. So it looks like Sagittarius shows up fighting for this love by being true, honest, vulnerable, trusting in the connection, trusting in their partner, surrendering. And that's just so straightforward that I could go ahead and move to the next one. Capricorn and Taurus connection. Capricorn and Taurus connections. Alright, so we come to this connection, and it looks like they routinely have their conflicts. They routinely have their ups and downs, but they also come out on top. So this is a connection that's established marriage. If it's not a marriage on paper, it's one energetically. They're locked in. They have understanding. They have familiarity. This is their safe space. They fight their battles together. They deal with their conflicts together. They come out shining on top together. They weather storms together. They've been through it. They've been through it, and we still together type energy. We still together. Alright. The Five of Fire came out in reverse. I'm going to continue looking because the way that card came out. Nine of Cups. Alright. So the Five of Fire in reverse. For me, it confirms, and then the Nine of Cups coming out in tandem confirms what I was describing here. That it looks like as we progress in the connection, we see that the obstacle, the potential obstructive interference comes, but they really just don't even take it. They don't overreact. They don't become over dramatic about it. The Five of Fire is in reverse. They don't argue about it, but it looks like they just deal with this by being vulnerable to the situation. They hold the doubt. They neutralize the doubt. They neutralize the conflict within themselves. They're pretty effective healing themselves, which gives me the insight that this connection, it looks like a twin flame connection where they are both healers and they're able to heal themselves. So also clearly further establishes how they are so able to go through their trials and tribulations so fluidly, healing each other, healing their relationship as needed, why they were able to go through so many tests and trials and tribulations together and come out we still together type energy. So it looks like they heal themselves and they're good at healing themselves. So their conflict was internal, they dealt with it internally, and they come out. This is even more of a confirmation, right? With the Ten of Pentacles. Wow. All right, so we're looking at a good, this is a good connection I'm looking at right now. Page of Pentacles and the Page of Swords. So yes, this is a twin flame soulmate connection. Twin flame soulmate connection. How does Capricorn fight for your love, Taurus? By being true to themselves, by being fully whole and healed. A healer. They know themselves very well. They show up into your relationship bringing value, sustainability, longevity, high caliber quality to your connection. It looks like a power couple right here. Now we're going to look at Taurus connection with Aquarius. Aquarius. Taurus and Aquarius. Taurus and Aquarius. Taurus and Aquarius. Alright. This is a connection where these couples, looks like they could have started out casual, but there was an addictive nature for one another. They love the spice. They love the toxicity that it produces is mutually enjoyable, pleasurable, addicting, enticing. Okay. So as we progress, we get into a committed connection here where it ascends to a higher level of commitment. Even marriage is on the horizon. And then we get to the obstructive interference making an appearance here. As we progress in this reading here, it comes out in a neutral orientation. So it looks like this is a connection that they're familiar with how they handle their arguments, their differences of opinion. It comes out in a neutral orientation. I feel like they have an understanding that they're on the same side. They don't fight against one another to outdo the other, but they fight on the same side. They fight on the same team. They have that understanding so that their disagreements are genuinely trying to enhance and promote and bring abundance to their connection. They have that understanding. To optimize their situation. They have the quality in their connection to iron sharpens iron within themselves. They're able to bring disagreements. They're able to bring differences of opinions with this understanding that iron sharpens iron, bringing different perspectives, innovative perspectives that help them stay innovative, that help them stay the cutting edge of technology and advancements, evolving, staying fresh, staying fresh and new, you know, just staying instant in season and out of season is what it looks like. So this is a beautiful connection, and it this is coming around full circle where I see the Nine of Pentacles and the Devil card, aka the 15th major arcana, that they're arguing, their dissonance, it turns into erotic passion. Yeah, they're able to alchemize themselves mutually, in a beneficial way, highly beneficial way. So this connection also looks very locked in and beautiful. Like they're able to go any direction and meet their challenges and overcome their challenges. I love it. Yay. Okay, let's see what else. Alright, so next, actually, well, I can't believe we made it to the 12th house already. We're going to look at the Taurus with Pisces. Taurus and Pisces connection. Alright, Taurus and Pisces. 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 Okay. Ten of Cups, guys. Confirmation, right? Having shuffled for so long before having a card, be produced on this spread, on the reading table, it signifies to me that they rarely have a conflict, okay? They're able to handle their conflicts, if they do, in a seamless, harmonious type of a way. And then the card produced finally on the table is the Ten of Cups, and that totally confirms that, and it establishes this is the way that these couples come into the reading. Ten of Cups, Taurus and Pisces. Okay. Page of Cups, okay. And what else? Taurus and Pisces. Taurus and Pisces. I love it. Come on. Taurus and Pisces. Taurus and Pisces. Taurus and Pisces. Taurus and Pisces. Okay, what do we got? Oh my gosh, you guys. Whoa, this is a cute relationship, y'all. Oh, let me see what's going on. Oh my goodness, y'all. Alright, so this is a beautiful, beautiful relationship. Oh my God. Oh man, this is a beautiful, dynamic power couple. Oh my God, this is a dream. This is one of those unicorn connections, y'all. You guys alchemize each other. If there's dissonance, if there's doubt, if there's wavering, okay? If there is a problem, if you come to your breaking point, it feels like you're already caught up and engulfed by everything you need in your connection. Your person has you. So definitely twin flame, soulmate energy here. Your person has you. It's like somebody doing dynamic gymnastics in the Olympics, and they, like, for some reason, by default, they have a net beneath them that's, I don't, do the gymnastics have, they have a net beneath them that's going to catch them. So they're able to do all these wonderful, crazy acrobatics, and the world loves to watch them. And it's like they have an invisible, it has to be invisible, it's an invisible safety net. It's magic. This is a magical connection of love through and through and through. Taurus, how does Pisces show up to fight for your love? They are ever present, ever presently loving you. There's not one moment, there's not one second of the day you're completely engulfed in their love, and you love it. They bring everything that you ever wanted to the table and more. That's what this says, okay? Your highs, your lows are high, and your highs are even higher. Yay, that's what I have. Okay, that brings us to the end of this reading. Give you a card. Hey there. Give you a card. Your card is the Two of Swords, right? That's the energy in the question. The Two of Swords is standing at a crossroad, and intuitively you will find the direction that you're meant to go in. It's just going to come to you. It's going to be so sure, you're going to know it through and through which direction that you'll go. Love yourself first. Your self-respect makes you more romantically attractive. Retreat. It's time to disconnect from the world. True love. This is the romance of a lifetime. All right. So it seems to continue to point to the love, the answers, that everything that you need is within you. It's like you have your own treasure house within. It reminds me of the Aladdin. I love that movie. They just redid a very beautiful rendition of Aladdin. And I just love that cave of wonder that's full of all of the jewels in the world. In that cave, remember? So I just feel like that cave is in you. The cave of wonders with all the precious jewels and valuables, beautiful, exotic, splendor. It's all within you. Everything that you need, you will find it in you. It feels like a beautiful journey. And it seems to be true with the readings that I've come across so far. Most of the houses are speaking to withdrawing from even the connection to make sure that they themselves embody everything that they need. Just double checking within themselves that they embody everything they need to bring to the table in their connection. All right. And that's the card that I have. Again, and you too. Thank you, Sweetie Pie, for sure. That's definitely the message for me too, for sure. Yes, 100%. Okay, guys, signing off for now. Until next time, peace.